Most YouTube advice is completely backwards. And I know this because I've tested everything while growing my channel to over 1 million subscribers and building 2 7-figure businesses from my content. And today I'm revealing my entire video creation process, the exact system that I've developed over the last 5 years perfecting my YouTube channel. And I'm not just talking theory. When we reach the recording section, we're gonna be stepping out of this studio to show you how incredibly simple your setup actually needs to be. So I'm gonna show you a simple step-by-step guide on exactly how you can do this yourself. And this is the blueprint that most creators will never share because they want you to think that it's too complicated for you to do it. When in reality, most of the things that people obsess over are a waste of time. And there's only a few things that you really need to focus on. So if you appreciate me going through step by step exactly how to make a YouTube video showing you every single step from start to finish, then go ahead and drop a like on this video and let's get into it right now. All right, so first step is idea generation. And there is one way that I've come up with that is better than any other way out there to generate good ideas. And by the way, the idea is the most important part of your video. If you nail the idea of your video, everything else can be mediocre, and in many cases, you'll have a video that does well. Think about the idea like this. You want there to be a lot of demand for the idea and not a lot of supply. And you can think of this like hot dogs versus gourmet food. If you're selling hot dogs to a starving crowd of people, you're gonna sell out every single time. But if you're trying to sell gourmet food to people who just walked out of a buffet, well, they're full and you're probably not gonna sell anything because they're full. They're not hungry anymore. And it's the same thing with your video idea. You want there to be a massive amount of demand for the video idea and not a lot of supply. But how do you find that? Well, introducing the Icahn Method. So this is a video that I found 5 years ago. And the thing about this video was it had about 760,000 views, which was good. And the channel only had about 10,000 subscribers. And probably most of them came from this video. So that means he did not have a loyal following at the time of making the video. And if you look at the thumbnail, it's bad. It's just a still shot from the video. The door in the background is actually more in focus than the guy's face. And so the thumbnail itself was pretty bad. When you look at the title, it's mediocre. You know, it's not bad, but it's not good. Then if you were to click on this video, you would see that it looked like it was recorded with like a 90s VHS recorder. So the video recording itself was pretty bad. And then on top of that, the audio was absolutely terrible. And the guy was drinking during the video. He was slurring. There were pretty much no edits. And it looks like he just kind of turned his camera on and started ranting. However, it did very well. And what that means is the idea of the video is something where there was a starving crowd of people. So he served hot dogs, right? This video is kind of like a hot dog. It's not that good, right? But he served those hot dogs to a starving crowd of people because a lot of people cared about this idea of worthless college majors, especially in the US. And that's what you want to find. You want to find those ideas where there's a ton of people that care about it, but there's not a lot of people making content on it. And that is the Icahn Method. And then you steal the idea, you steal nothing else but the idea, and you make a better video. So in this case, I stole the idea, the most worthless college majors. I made a video called The Most Useless Degrees. Notice that I did not use the same keywords, and I made a significantly better thumbnail, and the video in general was significantly better too. And that video absolutely popped off and got 4 million plus views. So I highly recommend doing this method. If you consistently do this, it will just be a matter of time until one of your videos pops off because you're giving the audience what they want, right? You are operating with supply and demand on your side, right? You're not trying to go against gravity. You're trying to work with the laws of the world, the laws of physics. All right, so next is selecting the keywords. Now, the reason that I selected the keyword degrees versus college majors is because I used these types of tools to look that up. Now, specifically, my favorite keyword tool is vidIQ. It shows you the keyword volume, and my favorite part is it will show you related keywords. Now, these are keywords that are semantically related to your main keyword. That means that people that are interested in the main keyword that you type in would also very likely be interested in these other keywords. And that is incredibly important and valuable information to know. Just as an example, if you type in Shane Hummus on vidIQ, you will see that remote jobs and work from home jobs are semantically related to my name. So you can type in people's names and see what keywords are semantically related to them, or you can type in the keywords and see what other keywords or what people are semantically related to that keyword. So unbelievably valuable tool. Now, additionally, another keyword tool I like to use is Keywords Everywhere. Now, vidIQ and Keywords Everywhere both essentially guess how many people are typing in those keywords, right? They can never be exactly accurate because the only people who know that data exactly are Google, and Google's not going to give up that data. But if both vidIQ and Keywords Everywhere confirm that there are a lot of people typing in those keywords, then chances are it is a good keyword and it has a lot of volume. Plus, Keywords Everywhere will also give you information on what companies are bidding for those ads. And this will let you know which keywords companies are showing their ads on. Now, this is incredibly valuable because this is something that YouTube won't tell you, but YouTube will be sending more traffic to the types of videos that companies are running more ads on because they make more money. So obviously they would do that. So just as an example, a few years ago when I was naming videos, I had the choice to name them college degrees versus college majors. And when I looked up college degrees, companies were paying about 10 times more to advertise on those videos versus college majors. And so even though for the purposes of the video, those two things essentially mean the same thing, I chose to name most of my videos college degrees. And I actually did an experiment at that time. I experimented with several different videos to see this, and almost without failure, every single time I named a video college degrees and put that in the title, it would perform significantly better than the videos that had college majors in the title. Now, funny enough, in modern times, it seems like it's kind of adjusted and companies kind of figured out that they can also bid on the college major keyword. So it doesn't matter as much now, but a few years ago, it absolutely did. So Keywords Everywhere is a great tool and it's super valuable. It's also just really useful because you can see the volume for keywords all the time, whether you're searching on Google or you're searching on YouTube, and it just pops up right on the search bar. Now, another really good tool for doing video research, especially finding those outlier videos where they're not that good, but they get a lot of views even though they don't have that many subscribers, is oneof10.com. So you don't have to use oneof10.com. You can just use the YouTube search bar, but it makes things a lot easier. So you can actually customize oneof10.com. You can say, I want to find channels that are under 20,000 subscribers and the views were over 100,000 and it's on this topic or that topic, right? And oneof10.com will do a great job finding you those outlier videos. And then another tool I've been using lately, and this is actually more useful for existing YouTubers, so YouTubers that already have a following, is ChatGPT Pro. Now, this is a very expensive tool. It's about $200 a month, but if you already have an existing channel and you have a bunch of data, what you can do is actually just download the data in your analytics section into a Google Sheets or an Excel file, and then upload that into ChatGPT Pro, and then ask it, based on the data, what videos should you make? And the answers are honestly amazing. I've been getting some unbelievably good answers from ChatGPT Pro. And so if you already have an existing channel, ChatGPT Pro is a must-have.
Quick break. This video is sponsored by me. Most of you don't know that I actually have my own coaching program on personal branding and then growing and making money on YouTube. And this is good for complete beginners, maybe even people who just want to get a job by growing their personal brand, all the way up to people who are very advanced on YouTube. And they get to work directly with myself and my team to help them reach their goals. Now, we are opening up 3 to 5 spots, and this is pretty rare. We usually don't have these open. We usually only limit them to select people. But we're opening up 3 to 5 spots, and you can check those out down in the description and the pinned comment below. And in this program, you'll get to work directly with myself and other people who are highly successful on YouTube. Just as an example, Sean was able to go all the way from being stuck, not making very much money on his channel, to making over $500,000 a month. Now, that's an example of one of my more advanced students, but there's lots of examples of people who started off from scratch and they got to 5K a month, 10K a month, etc. So check that out down in the description and the pinned comment below.
All right, now we're going to be moving on to the next step, which is title creation. So you've got a good video idea, but now you need to figure out how to title it, because the idea and the title are not the same thing. You could have an idea and you could apply 500 different angles to that idea and make 500 different titles. And when it comes to the title, I like to make it 50% analytical and 50% emotional. Now, the analytical part is the SEO side of things, and this is where you want to put the main keyword. It's important to put the main keyword as close to the beginning of the title as you can. So the main keyword here is YouTube monetization. And you notice that I put it very close to the beginning of the title. And the emotional side is the must avoid in all caps. And you'll notice that that is at the end. Now, when it comes to title creation, I like to use what I call the Moneyball Method. And this does come from the movie Moneyball. Now, if you're familiar with this movie, basically the gist of it is these really really smart people who are good at analytics found out that the major baseball teams were overpaying people that can hit home runs, and they were underpaying people who can simply get on base. So they hit the ball, but it's not necessarily a home run. And so this one team started recruiting all the people that were good at getting on base, and immediately they became one of the best teams in the league. And so I took this strategy and I applied it to YouTube. Hitting a home run would basically be like getting on the home page, right? Getting promoted in browse. Now, the truth is, especially in educational niches, that doesn't happen all the time. And so you don't want to rely on getting promoted in browse. And so your backup plan is to get promoted in search. And so you want to make your titles attractive enough, aka emotional enough, that there's a chance that they can get promoted in browse. But if they don't, they end up getting promoted in search, and people search certain keywords, the video pops up, and they end up clicking on it. And that is getting on base. So you want to try to hit a home run, but if you don't hit a home run, at the very least, you'll end up getting on base, and your video will get views for years down the line. And that is the Moneyball method. And I have used this method for like 5 years now. Not all my videos get promoted on browse, get promoted on the homepage, and get millions of views right away. But I have had videos that have gotten millions of views over a long period of time, years. And that's great. I love getting views from search, because search is a lot more predictable than getting views from browse, getting views on the homepage. And so I think I get a couple million views a month just from search alone. And sometimes I end up getting even more views from browse, but I don't have to rely on it. That's the important part. And that is the Moneyball method. Next is thumbnail creation. And when it comes to thumbnails, I like to use the 80-20 rule. 80% emotional, 20% analytical. Now, if I'm being honest here, and I speak for all YouTubers when I say this, if they're being honest as well, the thumbnail is really where you can kind of clickbait people, quote unquote. So you want to try to make the thumbnail as emotional as possible. Now, it should still communicate whatever idea you're trying to communicate, but the thumbnail should be the area where you make it as emotional as possible. So for instance, I have mistakes in all red here. And on many other videos, I'll have like a crazy face. That's especially true when I first started my channel. I'd have some kind of O face. And a few things about the thumbnail is you want to make sure that your facial expression can be seen. You also want to make sure that the whites of your eyes are very visible. And you'll notice that on my main channel, I actually whiten my eyes in many cases because I want them to be as visible as possible. You also want to make sure that the text is big and bold so that it's easy to read. You do not want it to be diagonal or anything like that. That's something I see all the time, and it's just terrible. Do not ever have diagonal text. And you want to have 4 words max on the thumbnail, but a lot of the time you'll have 1 word or even less, right? You might not even have any words on the thumbnail. So the least amount of words possible to communicate the idea that you're trying to communicate. And one thing that is very, very important, I cannot stress this enough because I see this all the time, is do not repeat the title on the thumbnail, right? People do not want to see you repeat the title on the thumbnail. This is something I've seen all the time. Don't do it. Now, the way this works, guys, is the person will see your thumbnail and the first thing they notice is the whites of your eyes. Then they'll notice the expression on your face, and then they'll look at the rest of the thumbnail, right? So they might look at the text on the thumbnail, for instance, and then they will make a split microsecond decision on whether they're going to look at the title. So let's just say they decide to look at the title, they'll read the title, and then they make a split microsecond decision on whether they're going to click on the video. And then when they click on the video, they then watch the intro. And that's the next part we're going to talk about. And from the intro, they make a split microsecond decision, usually in the first 5 to 15 seconds, on whether or not they're going to watch the rest of the video. And so it's very important that not only do you make a good thumbnail, title, and intro, but you also want to make sure that they are all congruent with each other, right? So one very common mistake that I see people make is they'll have a kind of a negative expression on the thumbnail, but then the title is positive, right? So it's like the title is the 5 best college degrees, and then on the thumbnail, you're like making a negative expression, like you're shocked or something. It doesn't make any sense. Now, there's 4 different types of intros that I have found through extensive testing to be extremely effective. And those 4 different types of intros are: 1, the straight into it intro. This is where you literally just repeat the title of the video, which by the way, helps a lot with SEO. And then you just get straight into the content. We're talking like probably 5 to 10 seconds in, you are already straight into the content. This works surprisingly well in some niches. Another really good intro is the social proof intro. This is where you show social proof right away that you are good at whatever the thing is that you're talking about. For instance, I could show social proof about how I've made this much money with YouTube, or I could show social proof that a lot of other people are interested in the video. So I could show an email from a fan asking me, my opinion on something, or I could show comments popping up on the screen from people asking me about something. And that basically just shows that other people are are interested in the subject as well, aka social proof, right? And in this case, showing all the subscribers that I have is social proof that a lot of other people watch me. Then you've got the breaking common beliefs intro. This is where you take something that people commonly believe to be true and you tell them that it's wrong. And this could also be kind of like an anti-establishment intro. You basically say that, the thing that most people say is true is actually wrong and it's not true and you should do the opposite. And so that's what I do in this video, where I talk about how most people think that an engineering degree is going to be the hardest degree, but actually it's not. And that gets people intrigued and they're like, I wonder what the hardest degree is. And so they watch the video. And plus, the breaking common beliefs intro in many cases can get people arguing or discussing in the comment section as well. And that makes it to where they watch the video longer, so there's a longer average view duration, and there's also much more engagement. And your comment section almost becomes like a forum that people come back to again and again. So the breaking common beliefs intro can be very, very effective. And then you've got the news style intro. And this is basically where you take some type of current event that's happened, and then you tie it into whatever the subject of the video is. Now, in some cases, it might literally be news. The economy just went down, there's a recession, the housing market just flipped, et cetera, et cetera. Or it could be some type of statistic that just came out, like the content creation industry is going to be worth 1.17 trillion in the next few years, something like that, right? Something that's new, it's breaking, that gets people's attention. And then you somehow figure out how to tie that thing into whatever your topic is. So someone who does this extremely well is Graham Stephan. So here's an example of a video: urgent Federal Reserve cancels 2025 rate cuts, market crashing fast. And if you watch the actual video, he does talk about, what the Federal Reserve is doing, but he also ties it into the content that he typically makes, talking about, diversifying your investments, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so next is actually writing the script. And the first thing when it comes to writing a script is making an outline. Now, before you make the outline, you want to decide what the format of your video is going to be. And there's a bunch of different formats, but some of the most common ones and some of the ones that I recommend the most are listicles, how-to videos, news style videos, and case studies. Now, listicles are pretty obvious. 11 dirty side hustles no one's talking about in 2025. How-to videos would be, how to make 100K per month YouTube personal brand, which if you're curious exactly how I did that, you can click right here to check it out. News style videos would be bank failures are coming, do this ASAP. And a case study would be case study from 0 to over 100K per month on YouTube. Now, you can do case study videos on yourself, or you could do a case study video on someone else, like one of your students or someone who's very successful. Now, when making the outline, one thing I want you to understand is basically every type of content, especially every type of educational content, at its core is a list, right? It's essentially a listicle. And when you're writing the outline, you're really going to understand this, because if it is a listicle video, obviously it's a list, so you'd go side hustle 1, side hustle 2, side hustle 3, and then each one maybe has one sub point. And then if you're making a how-to video, you probably have like a step 1, step 2, step 3. So again, it's a list. If you're making a news video, you've got your major point 1, major point 2, major point 3. So again, it's a list. And if you're making a case study video, they usually follow a certain list or a certain set of steps. So for instance, you might have the context, the process, the results, etc. And it's not just YouTube videos. If you think about it, just about every type of content out there is a list. Books, for instance, have chapters. What are chapters? That's essentially a list. Essays, usually you have an introduction, you have 3 body paragraphs, and then you have an outro. What is that? It's a list. Movies, usually they follow a 12-act structure, and each act has 3 different phases to it. So what is that? It's a list. So at the end of the day, everything is a list, and I want you to keep this in mind when you're writing your outlines. Now, the easiest way to write an outline is actually just to use a blank flashcard just like this, and I've literally done this hundreds of times when making videos, and I still do this to this day. Because there's some types of videos where it's pretty simple, you're just giving your opinion on something, and so you can basically just write the outline on a blank flashcard, and then whenever it's time to move on to the next point, you just glance down at your flashcard, and you talk about the next thing. And it's basically there just to remind you. Now, this works especially well if you're doing a video where there's not going to be very much editing, and you're basically just presenting straight to the camera with very few edits. Now, typically when I'm writing scripts for my videos, I will write my own outline, and then sometimes that's enough, and I'll just go ahead and present the video. And a lot of the time, this comes across as much more natural because you're not trying to read off of a script. With that being said, if you do want to do a script, which I've also done hundreds of times, what I recommend that you do is still write the outline yourself so that it's you, but then use some type of AI. Right now, Claude is the best in order to help you fill in the outline and write your script. Now, by the way, I like to use what's known as the CGP framework, and that's context, goal, prompt. So basically you give it context, you tell it what the goal of the video is and what you want to achieve, and then you actually give it instructions in the form of a prompt. So here's an example of a really good prompt for doing just that. Now, when using this prompt, there's a few things that you want to add to make it as good as possible. First of all, if you made the outline, obviously add the outline. Second, you want to add the video title. You want to add some context to the video. For instance, what is the goal of the video? Like, what are you actually trying to accomplish with it? Then you want to add the video length. You want to add the goal of the video, right? Are you just trying to get views? Are you trying to get people to download a lead magnet so you can get their email? Are you trying to get people to buy your product, book a call with you, etc.? What is the actual goal of the video? You want to keep this in mind. Then you want to add pain points, right? Common problems that people have when it comes to that subject. And then the next thing you want to do is use what's known as the CGP framework. And then next, this part is optional, but I found that it can create really good content. Either enter your own channel name if you already have content and you already have kind of a content style, or find a channel that makes content in the style that you're trying to go for and use that channel as inspiration. Now, by the way, I almost never use my competitors as inspiration. What I do instead is I find channels that target the same demographic as the demographic that I target, and then I use their style as inspiration. So just as an example, if you target younger men who are interested in making money online, then those same younger men might also be interested in self-development, or they might also be interested in investing. So you'd find a channel like that. And then you'd find a specific video from that channel and you'd take the transcript and use that as inspiration as well. And this will give Claude a good idea of the script style that you're trying to make the video in. Now you find the transcript of the video by going to the video, going to the bottom of the description after you click more, and then you'll see transcript, and then you just copy that and put it into Claude. So if you use a prompt like this correctly, it's going to give you a phenomenal output. Now, by the way, I have a bunch of script templates that work incredibly well for different niches and different types of scripts. And you can check out all of those script templates by clicking the link in the description and the pinned comment below. And these script templates will also have prompts that you can put into AI to make them even better. So click the link in the description and the pinned comment below to check those out. Next, let's talk about recording. Now, you might be thinking, Shane, you have a super nice setup, costs thousands of dollars. So how in the world am I going to make good videos? Well, I'm actually going to step out of the studio and show you exactly how to do it right now. So let's go do that.
All right, guys. So we are outside, and as you can see, the light is over here, right? So this is kind of ideal lighting right now. So the light is kind of hitting my face. Now, I have an iPhone right now, so it's pretty good at just adjusting, honestly, so you don't have to worry that much about lighting. But if you don't have an iPhone, or let's just say you're using a camera or something like that, you have to worry a little bit more about lighting. So in that case, you'd probably want to face this way so the light is hitting your face. But if you have an iPhone, doesn't really matter. You can kind of just face over this way, and you'll notice that it kind of just automatically adjusts to the lighting, which is great, right? And, you know, I've got my little flash card here, and I'm holding this. Ideally, you'd probably want to have something that's holding your camera. So, you know, for instance, I could kind of just like sit down here, and I could set up a camera on this table, and then, you know, I would be able to just kind of talk to the camera. And then every little bit, I would just, you know, glance down at my card just like this and just be like, oh, let's talk about the good mic. Let's talk about the face and focus. Let's talk about how lighting is good. Let's talk about making sure that you have a clean background that's not too distracting, and making sure that the camera is relatively centralized, so your face is in an attractive place. So just as an example, you wouldn't want your face to be like down here, right? You'd want your face to either be in the middle like that, or you want your face to be over to the side, and that way the editor can put stuff right here if you talk about it, right? And those are the big things. Just make sure that your background isn't too distracting. Make sure that you have a good mic. Now, the iPhone actually has a pretty good mic on it. And even if your audio doesn't turn out perfect, you can use what's known as Adobe Podcast to make your audio better. So it used to be that you'd have to have like an insanely good mic to capture clean audio. These days, as long as you have decent audio, you can actually use Adobe Podcast, for instance, or other audio cleaning software to make your audio pretty good. So honestly, just using an iPhone these days is all you need. You don't even need a mic. But if you want to use a mic, I do like the Rode products. For instance, the Rode Video Mic Pro and other types of products like the Rode Lav Mic, for instance, are quite good. Now, I'm actually looking at the front of the camera, so I'm kind of like looking at myself here just because I want to see what the background looks like. But it's usually better to actually record with the back of the camera, because that camera is going to be better and it's going to be able to capture better quality. With that being said, doesn't matter that much. As you can see, the quality is still quite good. And yeah, that's basically how it's done. Now let's go back to the studio.
All right, and I'm back. So now you have a video recorded, and the next step is to edit the video. Now, this is actually optional, especially if you're doing kind of a minimalist style and maybe you used a flashcard as your outline. This is optional. So if you did it all in one take, then you don't need to edit. Additionally, if you are doing all of this by yourself, I highly recommend doing more minimalist style editing, because to be honest with you, minimalist style editing is almost as effective as retention editing. So it's definitely not something you should be spending a lot of your time doing. Now, if you are going to be editing your own videos, I recommend using a very simple software such as CapCut. Now, CapCut recently got banned for a few days, so just in case you're watching this and CapCut isn't available, then I would recommend using Descript instead. It's also another very simple software to use. Now, if you're an advanced video editor, you could use something like Adobe Premiere Pro, but I highly recommend not doing that because it takes a long time to learn, and it also takes a lot longer to edit the videos too. Now, a lot of people overstate the importance of editing. They think that editing is so important when it comes to getting views. And in reality, a lot of the time, minimalist content is much more important, because think about it. Why would people watch YouTube when they could watch TV that's highly edited, right? Highly produced, highly edited. They watch YouTube because they want to interact with other people. They want to have that authentic feeling of interacting with another human being who's across the world from them. And when you do minimalist editing content, it's much easier to tap into that feeling, right? It feels much more authentic. So my big point here is keep the editing simple. Don't spend too much time on the editing process. The only time I would recommend spending a lot of time on editing is once you've found a format and a video idea that works really well, that you can do over and over again, and you're trying to optimize it and make it a little bit better. For the first few years of making my content, I had very basic editing. I only started increasing my production quality and my editing once I had found formats and ideas that I could do over and over again. And I have literally seen people get to millions of subscribers by recording with their iPhone and doing little to no editing. I've also seen people make tens of millions of dollars a year doing the same thing. So don't think you have to have fancy retention editing on your videos. All right, so the next step is video launch. So the big thing here is once your video is actually launched, which maybe you scheduled it to be launched later, or maybe you just launch it right away, you want to make sure that you have the correct link in your description. It's very easy to actually forget to do this, and I've done it myself. And then additionally, you also want to comment that same link and pin the comment. This will significantly increase the amount of people who actually end up clicking on it. Now, don't worry too much about SEO, especially tags. Tags are not that important. However, if you want to have Claude come up with a quick SEO optimized description, you can put that under your link, and that'll help you with views a little bit. With that being said, there's a lot of scams out there, especially people on Fiverr, for instance. They'll say that they'll optimize your SEO and get you way more views, and usually they're just sending you fake views. So don't worry too much about SEO optimization. The biggest thing with SEO optimization is just making sure that the keyword is in your video, and preferably the keyword is closer to the beginning of your title. And then also try to say the keyword at the beginning of your video if you can. And then if you want to make a little bit of an SEO optimized paragraph that you put under your link, right? Make sure that the link is at the top of the description so that it shows above the fold, aka you don't have to press more to see the link. But if you want to put an SEO optimized description under that, it definitely doesn't hurt. But don't waste too much time doing it.
What's happening, guys, in the editing process of this video, and I have an opportunity for a select group of people. So these are people who are serious about growing their personal brand on YouTube. So basically, we figured out recently how to grow a personal brand and combine all the upsides of a personal brand with the upsides of automation, right? Using AI, using things like this to basically grow your personal brand 10 times faster, which in the past used to take decades to do. And now you can do it significantly faster. And you can do this to get a better job. You know, we work with beginners that just want to get a better job with their personal brand. You can do this to make money as a side hustle. We work with a lot of people like that. We can do this to make more money if you already have a side hustle or a small business. Or if you're already crushing it on YouTube, we can help you crush it 10 times more. We've worked with people like that as well. I mean, I literally can show clients at each level. People that we've gotten from 0 to over 10K, 0 to like over 30K, from like 1K per month all the way up to 185K per month, from around 30K per month all the way up to over 500K per month. So literally at every single level, and it works for everyone in every situation. With that being said, we are only working with 3 to 5 people, and they have to be people who are very serious, right? People who are dedicated to making this work. So if you think you're that type of person, go ahead and apply it down in the description and the pinned comment below, and you could be part of our group of 3 to 5 that we help. So See you there. Have a good one.
And then the next step is to monetize your video, right? So let's just say you're at the point where you're getting views, you're getting subscribers, your channel is growing. Now you want to make sure that you're monetizing correctly, because this is the thing that everyone messes up on. I have seen creators out there that have millions and millions of subscribers that aren't even making a full income because their content creation level is like 97 out of 100 and their monetization level is like 0 out of 100. They're terrible at monetizing. And then I've seen other creators out there that are only getting 100 or 200 views per video and they're making millions of dollars a year. So most people are terrible when it comes to monetization. And the first step to monetizing correctly is attracting the right audience. Now, this is something that I kind of specialize in and I really help people do. So if you are at that point where, let's just say you're a business owner who wants to treat YouTube like a business, or you're a YouTuber that wants to properly monetize your YouTube channel, then book a call with me down in the description and the pinned comment below. But with that being said, some of the monetization methods that I recommend are using affiliate products because it's extremely passive. For some creators, sponsorships work really well. For instance, Coursera, I've been sponsored by them many times. We have a great relationship. You can also do low ticket products, medium ticket products, high ticket products. So these would be products that you actually create yourself. And out of those three, my favorite by far is high ticket products. However, you have to have the right type of audience to sell those. And this is something that I can't get too deep into in this video. However, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I cover this in depth. And also on top of this, I didn't actually put this in the video itself, but you want to make your content creation sustainable. And the way you do that is by systemizing this entire process. And that's something I also teach people how to do. So for instance, on my main channel, I only have to spend about an hour a week on videos. I went to Thailand a few months ago and I was there with my family, and then I went to a business convention, and then we had some health issues, so we ended up getting stuck there for about 2 months. And during that entire 2-month period, I only worked on my channel for about 8 hours. So literally 1 hour per week working on my channel, and it actually grew, right? So I was making more money when I wasn't working on my channel at all. And the way I was able to do that is by systemizing everything, turning it into a process. And that's another thing that I teach people how to do. So you want to systemize your channel and you want to properly monetize. And that is how you make your channel sustainable, because trust me, you're not going to be doing YouTube for free forever because it's a lot of work. So you need to treat it like a business. And by the way, check out this video that I made on how to make 100K per month YouTube personal brand by clicking right here.